This is a document that I got online. It is available publicly and it is a certificate of analysis from 2007. It's got a list of samples taken from various people: Chris Hall, Jeffrey Hall, the boyfriends of roommates, who are Ashley Hall and Valerie Hall. So I don't know if Valerie got married to Jeff or if they just put her last name as Hall. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm assuming that's what that is. Some other names. The first one, William Barrett. He apparently worked for the apartments. He was like the maintenance guy or something. And I also found a polygraph test which he failed. There was something about that not being admissible because it's a polygraph test, but I think he was ruled out. The next person is Jim Barker. The only information I could find about him was that he works in the medical field, and I think that he taught at UGA as well, but I probably need to do a little bit more of a look into that. So we've got Stephen Barden. So he was one of the guys that the defense wanted to talk about because he was an early person of interest. He was apparently in a study group with Tara. Barden, he is an attorney in Georgia. There is hardly anything online about him. The address that he has listed for his business is a virtual address. I think he was the guy that supposedly he was interested in Tara, but she wasn't interested in him back, and apparently she thought he was a bit creepy. And then there was some reports about someone noticing blood on a book. He would know where she lives because he would have gone there to study, apparently. Police actually did investigate him, and they had a search warrant of his house. They were looking for blood or other things of interest, and they didn't find anything. So Stephen Barden, that they weren't allowed to talk about him at the trial because the state was saying that it was not appropriate for Cruz to put forth another third-party suspect. And then Cruz was saying in response to that he wasn't putting him forward as a suspect. What he was trying to do was to show the poor investigation, basically, and the fact that there were other leads that weren't followed up, but the police didn't really do anything about that. So I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know what the validity of the ruling was. I almost forgot to talk about Gus Suarez. He was a student at UGA. So I think he was in the same year as Tara. Maybe they knew each other, possibly from the study group. Again, I couldn't really find much information on him. They must have ruled him out. And the last one on the list, well, apart from Chris Melton, but we all know about him, Augustus Curtis, is an attorney that was in Georgia at the time of Tara's death, and he actually worked at the same law firm that she worked at in Athens. He might have had a bit of a party lifestyle and would, party with the young'uns, the college students. He is the one that is talked about in the Classic City Crime podcast, where there's a woman talking about his behaviour the day of, I think, and how he was really dishevelled. He had scratches on his neck and he was rambling and seemed to be under the influence of something. I don't know what happened with that, but anyway, I did find some documents online to show that he was in Athens in 2001 for most of the year, but then he actually moved out of state and he currently lives out of state. And if you look up anything about him that's publicly available, you'll see that there's not really much covering the time frame that he was in Athens. And he also worked for the court in some. The other person that Cruz wanted to bring up with regards to the investigation, or lack thereof, was Anthony Little. Public information available on him shows a criminal history of drugs and loitering and a few other things, and he's no longer with us as of, I think, 2017. I do believe I read somewhere that there was talk of him being in possession of the laptop at some point, which they never found. I can't remember where I read that, but yeah.